The Growlers are back and primed for another season, although likely to be another season's worth of disappointment, at least on the ice. But that, of course, is by design. As you should well know by this point in the series, we can only add to this team through the draft. No trading, whether for players or picks, no major free agent signings to help build this team into a winner. It's just through the draft. So yes, a lot of luck is needed. We'll see whether or not we end up having to bump up the draft class quality throughout this series, because so far it's been a little bit rough. But what I want to mention here is that I tried something different in free agency, and I let the assistant GM sign a lot of players. So we do have guys like Kovalchuk, Pavelski, Brown, that technically have this team in a slightly better spot than one would hope. I'm just going to leave it. I don't really care if we suck. But like defensively, like Chara and Bufflin are here, which if anything is kind of nice that these guys aren't just going to sit around on the free agent list and do nothing. The notable thing, though, is the AHL, because for the first time we have signed some of our prospects, although I just realized that assistant coach edit lines must be on because I had optimized that, and they have since changed. So now is the time to finally turn that off. But hey, what are you going to do? I'm not going to restart this. Yeah, see, there we go. We can turn those off now. Probably should restart this video. Not going to restart this video because, hey, the points I made at the beginning are still valid. But indeed, the highlight right now is definitely looking at the prospects that we picked up in our very first draft, that extra draft after the expansion. It's looking and seeing just what exactly we're going to be able to do with that team. So if we look down in the AHL, goaltending, we don't have anybody that we're worried about right now. None of these guys are ours. But defensively is where we see our first few. Charles Desroches is in the lineup, as is Benjamin Rude. So excited to see what these two can do. Unfortunately, no one really gels that well with our AHL head coach, unfortunately, but we'll see what those two can do, as well as Harris Brantz, I think it is, and excuse me if I'm butchering that, but what the hell do you want me to do? Harish is also in here, former 5th round pick of ours. We don't have any other defensemen to worry about. And then forward-wise, Ivan is here. Brady Burns has been signed as well. Igor Bobrovsky is not ours. However, we have a couple of guys here that are. Alexander David is going to be in this lineup. We'll also take out Justin Schutz. None of those guys are ours. Petrie's not ours. The only guy to worry about is Lawrence. So a couple of players to keep an eye on here through this first season. And we'll see just how well they can do, and hopefully we can see some development from some of these younger players. That said, we look ahead to the draft. Now, I will mention as well, along with trying to get a better coaching staff, because we obviously have players that we care about, we have rebuilt the scouting department finally. So here's hoping that it ends up working out for us. But now is the time to set our sights on this upcoming draft class and hope for the best, that we have some players available. Unfortunately, this is a Finn-heavy draft at the top. Wow. First Canadian isn't until 7, Smoskowitz, and we have to hope that he is ours. And he is not from the queue, unfortunately. So that hurts. The top player in the draft, though, or at least out of the QMJHL, is Pascal Letang, who, of course, is not eligible for us. Matthew McClellan is second, so Baikomo and Rimouski, that doesn't really help. Jean Savard is the top option. That is scary. I'm going to go with scary. I apparently can't tell my scout to scout this guy from here, so hey, we'll hope for the best. Jacques Lapierre is also available out of Acadie Bathurst. Cole Craig out of Gatineau, not available to us. Nathan Drapeau, St. John is there. Val Dor not eligible here for us. We do have Matthew Paillet out of Charlottetown as well. Plainville not available to us. A lot of Armada members here. Como also not available. So this is going to be a decent draft for the Islanders, but good Lord, this is brutal. Wow. We have just that many players until we hit the 300s. 2, 3, 4, 5 players until we hit the 300s. I think we'll give it at least one more season, maybe 2 more to end up having essentially 5 drafts, but there is a decent chance that we are going to have to up the draft class quality, but the problem is, even if we up the quality, will the players be eligible for us to select? I mean, we'd have to hope for the best. At least the players that we would get, we'd know they'd be a little bit better. But goddamn, is this looking like it's going to be a very, very rough draft for us here. A lot of guys who are just going to be way down the board. We find our first member of the Halifax Mooseheads, Jake Furlong, so it shows you how rough of a spot Halifax is in at the moment. Yeah, this is going to be brutal. There's a lot of QMJHL players, and as you can tell, they go very, very, very far down the board. So this episode, I mean, hey, I can't promise the most exciting stuff in the world. The hope is that some of those guys end up being half decent and that we see some decent prospect development. Fingers crossed. Let's hope for the best, but that is disappointing to not at least be able to set our eyes, on someone to say, man, if we win the lottery, we get that guy. We've yet to really have that moment. So, fun fact about that garbage version of an NHL team that I showed you at the beginning of this episode. They made the playoffs. Somehow, that team won 42 games. This team won 42 games and made the playoffs. So we're not going to officially count that towards our record book of, yeah, we made the playoffs. What an accomplishment. But hey, at the very least, it goes to show that a bad team can string together wins and make a run of it. So yeah, somewhat reason to be optimistic, I would say. And if there was a year to not really care about how the team was built and to screw ourselves out of a decent, lottery pick, this was the year, because we know that there's nobody available to us anyway. As Dustin Buffalo put up 54 points. Goaltending-wise, we got a .918 out of Craig Anderson, and that was certainly good enough to get us to the postseason. So I'm not going to follow along with it too much. We're not going to slow sim it or anything. It doesn't really count, I would say. But yeah, no, this team made the playoffs. Like I said, it could be a good thing for the long-term viewpoint of what this series very well could be for us as the save percentage king. You had Binnington and Allmark, or shutout king, I should say. And the save percentage-wise, it was Carey Price who's going to win the Vezina. The Calder is going to go to Dylan Genther in Tampa. That does bring me to looking at what happened in the AHL. We'll look at our Burnaby team here, the Aces. Josh Lawrence led the way, up at least 2 overall points here, 66 points, 33 goals. Brady Burns with 64 points. You also had Ivan with 43, David with 35. Then for the defenseman, Charlie with 38, Rude with 18 points on the year. Brantz was there as well, but just 6 points. So, interesting. I don't know if we're going to get a crazy amount of development like we were kind of holding out hope for, but hey, we've made the playoffs. Let's see what happens here. Fully expect the Leafs to just wipe the floor with us, so we beat them 6-1, of course. Game 2 is a 4-1 loss. Joe Pavelski says, I want a goddamn cup. We're up 2-1 on the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. Now make that 2-2 heading into Game 5 where we lose again. And in Game 6, will that be it? Yes, it will. So thankfully, Toronto didn't blow it. This veteran, very heavy veteran presence team does make the playoffs, but ultimately they lose in the first round. So, hey, it is what it is. I don't have to care too much about the team building process when I know there's not going to be anybody that good ahead of us, or, anybody that we have to focus on in the draft, I really should say. It's the Calgary Flames win the Stanley Cup, defeating the Toronto Maple Leafs in 6. So Toronto went all the way, or at least all the way to the final, before falling short. So take a look at what this Flames team happens to look like. Goodrow and company finally getting the job done. Connor Zary, of course, their real-life first-round draft pick this year. They added Nolan Patrick, Nick Bonino, Milan Lucic, and as if he didn't have enough size, Curtis Douglas is also on that team. Defensively, Valimaki turned into a really good option. Hanifin, Tanev, Giordano, basically the defense you'd expect to see from them. And Markstrom. James Reimer as well as a backup goaltender getting a Stanley Cup. For the awards, now 3 straight Canadian champions. So McDavid wins the Art Ross and the Hart. Jared Spurgeon wins the Norris. He ended up getting traded to Vegas. Patrick Kane, the Lady Bing, called it again there. Goodrow, the Conn Smythe. Carey Price, the Vezina. Gustafson, the Jennings. Masterton, the Mellock. Again, Chicago's head coach wins the Jack Adams. Selke Award to Ryan O'Reilly. Ted Lindsay and McDavid, as well as the Rocket Richard. Down in the AHL, Liam Foudy scored the most points. Matt Luff was the league MVP. Some dude named Esposito scored the most goals and was the top rookie. Cale Clegg was the top defenseman. Caden Primo, the best goaltender. The MVP of the playoffs, Oscar Dansk. So we head into this offseason yet again. The regular season a little bit more interesting than you would expect. We don't have to care about the lottery odds. But now we just have to hope that somehow, some way, some of these players that we've looked at are better than you would think and better than advertised. Don't think I'm holding my breath on that, though. Like I said, if it gets down to pure desperation, we'll do what we have to do in terms of upping the draft class quality. But how much is that really going to help when we've just had so few players available to us? Like, okay, it's going to make the players that we were to get in this draft, say, a little bit better. Say, instead of a bottom 6, it's a medium 9, and that would help a lot. But overall, right now, man, these Maritime Division teams not exactly producing good talent. So our first pick in this draft is the 17th overall selection, so already the latest that we've picked. It can be a little bit of a write-off, though. And we go to the queue, and our first player available is as expected. Now, we do have a potential gem here in LaPierre, but it's going to be Jean Savard, 6'4", two-way, who is going to be our first pick at a medium top 9. So Savard, welcome aboard, 58 overall. Not quite what you want with the 17th overall selection, but the highest-rated player that was available to us. We go back to the queue, and quite obviously, LaPierre is the guy. Another 18-year-old, a sniper, really good shot, no weaknesses apparently. 3-year ETA. If he could go up to medium top 6, that would be pretty damn great. But of course, he will be that low top 6. 62 overall to start. So I mean, not too bad. 2 more decent forwards added into the mix. Nothing crazy. Now we get to our next pick, and it's going to be either a Drapeau, or let's be honest, it's going to be Drapeau and then Paille. So a medium 7th defenseman being added. He is a 55 overall. Not great. Not great at all. Back over to the queue. It's going to be Matthew Paille. Another 18-year-old, 5 years away at a medium bottom 6. That is brutal, unfortunately, but hey, it is what it is. 5th round. Who is it going to be next? The answer is one of these 3. So we did have some people move up. Thank God for that. And if we look at all of our pinned players here, I mean, I looked at the guys who were really up to like the first 400 or so there shouldn't be anybody here that is available to us, so we should be okay. It's at least looking a little bit better here then. So we have 3 players. We should be able to snag all 3 of them. Mario Vanier, I guess it would be. I don't think it'd be Vanier. That's whatever. He only had 2 goals in 28 games. Not looking too good, but he is our next pick. He is a medium top 9, but a 49 overall. 6th round. And it is going to be Clinton Garlock, the center from the Titan, who is a low bottom 6. Ugh. And it brings us to the 7th round, where our final player in this draft is going to be Dominic Hunwick. Good physical, good shooting apparently. 6'4" defensive defenseman. Hunwick is awful, as was that draft class. So the question, as hinted towards in this episode, was really talked about in this episode, how long do we wait? It's going to be at least 1 more year, but if this upcoming draft is as meh and as bad as that one happens to be, again, we have an option. It would help out everybody, not just us, but draft class quality, generated prospect quality. You know, it could work out for us. So again, the stronger draft class just means that there's better talent throughout the draft. And then, of course, the generated prospect quality just means that, you know, the high-end talents, there's more of them. We could do both. We could edit one and then edit the other. I will leave it up to you guys as far as what we look to do there. But I think we give it 1 more attempt. And we hope that this next draft is decent. Because as it stands right now, we're hurting a little bit. We still, as far as I know, we have the 1 goalie, but we don't really have a future starter. Defensively, it's barren, aside from who we already have, like the Rocha at a 71. It's looking rough. LaRue will be signed, which is nice. Huckins will be signed. But we need a lot of help with this team. So like I said, let me know down in the comments below what you think. I thank you very much for checking out this episode. Of course, make sure to check out everything in the description as well if you haven't already done so before you click off here. Of course, again, it's the socials, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, the Patreon as well, if that suits your fancy. And until next time, just wanted to say, have a good one. Take it easy. Stay safe. If you go out, wear a mask. Be courteous of other people. Don't be a goof who's like, but my freedom. Just wear a mask. I love you all. See you next time.